So I met Brian North when we got in the game.
Oh, really?
Or maybe we want to record this part because this is kind of part of the come up. Really.
Yeah.
So this is the power of masterminding, coaching, being a part of something, right?
You're like, I'll go to City Hall, but y'all gotta buy. Because I got some shit I'm not really ready to talk about yet. That's right. Talk about it.
So
We're
have you
recording
ever
all
met
of it.
have you ever met my business partner Eddie?
You know what? I met Eddie through baseball. Our kids played baseball,
Oh, no kidding.
on opposite teams. So I'd see him chewing sunflower seeds, and I'd shoot over and like say what's up, and then we put it together, who we were.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like small world come together. But yeah.
So we were broke, busted, disgusted, right? And so literally I was living on a couch. I just lost my home to foreclosure. My car, great story. This is the come up story. So I was a realtor. Take a step back. Graduated UCLA, didn't really know what I wanted to do. I had a really close buddy at UCLA who his dad was a home builder. So he's like, hey, you want to get into real estate with me? We can start a brokerage. I'm like, absolutely, that sounds great. He's like, well, let me learn the ways. Go do your thing, go get a job, go do whatever you do after college, and when I'm ready to kind of get this thing running, I'll call you. So I went straight into sales, ended up owning a sales company, did really well. Long story short, I caught pneumonia because I was living in Boston. I called my family and I said, I'm moving home. California boy can't handle this nonsense, right? So that was kind of my first losing it all, right? I'm 25 at the time.
What were you selling out there?
Out there was Verizon. So we were selling business services, UPS, Verizon, CenturyLink, credit card processing, stuff like that, right? And so I got really good at sales. I got really good at building a team, recruiting, culture, the whole thing. Everything that you really need in real estate too, right? So that's where I cut my teeth on that. But then moved back home, my buddy simultaneously calls me. Hey dude, you want to start this real estate thing? He didn't know I was sick. So it was just pure coincidence, right? I say absolutely. So I get my license, we start this brokerage. The brokerage is still around today, one of the highest producing in both Marin and Sonoma County out in California. And so, but the crash happened, right? So we were doing new home orders. Who doesn't do well with that in 04, 05, and 06, right? Like everyone's winning. Yeah. So I went and bought a $500,000 condo, a $100,000 Lexus. I was, I had the American Express Platinum, charging everything in the game, where I'm a 26-year-old, cocky kid. Well, that cocky kid got a big punch in the face, right? Because lost it all. Home to foreclosure, repo guy, literally, here's the funny part. My business partner first was a friend. Eddie was a friend first. He lost his job at KB Homes, but he was living out here. So he was like, bro, I lost my home. They're coming after my car. Let's swap cars. So I drive mine over to California, take his back from Arizona to California. Yeah. But when you cross state lines, that's a felony.
Oh, good.
Sweet. So I didn't know that. Yeah. So I'm riding hot. I think it's a joke. I think it's funny. They'll never catch us. And so I
26, big swinging dick, in a hot car.
All the things.
Great, yeah.
All of a sudden, my family's house is getting door knocks by these repo guys. I'm like, all right, I'm done. I got it, right? Because once you start to include family, now it's not just me, and young cocky kid. Now it's my family. So end up turning my car in, but sleeping on my buddy's couch. My buddy said, you got a couch to sleep on. And the only thing I knew is that realtors had properties. And this is way before podcasts were cool, way before what you see online with coaching and education and masterminds and all the stuff that's out there. Way before any of that. Yeah. YouTube didn't have any of what it has today, right? So I had nowhere to turn to. So me and Eddie were just like, well, dude, let's just call realtors. They have properties, right? And it's 07. Right?
So are you guys both here in Arizona now?
Not yet.
Yeah, gotcha.
So 07, he's here, I'm in California. California price points of homes are crazy, right? Sure. So we're like, well, Arizona, like you can buy a home for $150,000. Let's start in Arizona. If we get big enough, we had wild dreams of being national and the whole thing. So at the end of the day, I started cold calling realtors. And that's why if you ever watch something of mine, like I'm a big cold calling advocate. Get on the phone and dial. You will win. Right. Yeah. And so I started cold calling realtors, kind of did a sales pitch. Here's what we do, and we're rehabbing homes, and this is how we're doing it, and we're buying it like this, and then we do a double close, and this is before people even knew what the hell that really was. Right. So realtors were like, okay, kid, right?
Yeah.
Finally, I met a ex-baseball player. He must have been 30 at the time. Blew out his shoulder. He was a pitcher, great dude. He got it. He understood it. And so he just starts writing all these offers. So 9 months later, I get my first deal. But I'm sleeping on a couch. I have no income at all. I didn't go get a bartending job. I didn't do anything because I was pot committed into this. And I believe that was part of the reason of my success is I had unwavable determination. I was going to make it work. I was going to be a successful real estate investor, right?
Yeah. So you're in California. You're calling on agents in California, and these agents just can't grasp what you're trying to pitch.
I'm
to
calling
them.
agents out here.
Calling them in Arizona.
Yeah.
And they just can't grasp what you're trying to pitch them.
Not at all.
Same as today.
What is different?
Nothing has changed, right? So here we are in 2020, right?
That's right.
So you're back in 07. You're making cold calls.
Yeah.
You're now crossing state lines on a phone, right? So you're calling into Arizona. You're pitching this stuff to the real estate agents. They're not grasping what you're putting, but now you have a guy with money who's willing to put his name on a contract and start submitting offers, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So where are you at from there?
So 9 months later, we get our first deal, and we just do a double close. The agent already actually had the buyer. And because I knew how to structure the deal, we just did a typical double close where the buyer brought the funds to close the A and B, and then B and C.
And how do you know how to structure a deal on your first one? Like what are you doing to figure that out? You finally get a deal, 9 months of cold calling. I mean, you're obviously trying to figure out what you're doing. How are you able to teach a real estate agent something that they don't know? How did you structure that?
Somewhere in the path, I just kept researching, right? And somewhere in YouTube, someone was talking about it. I mean, because if you really think about the coaching spectrum, there's like the real OGs of real estate investing coaching. And somewhere I found something like, oh, you can structure a double close, and this is how functionally, nowadays everyone's a guru and doing their thing. I mean, I get it, I'm there too, so that's my space. But ultimately I learned it, and I said, but I sold the belief of being, I didn't really know what the fuck I was doing.
Yeah.
It was like, this is how it's done, for sure, all we have to do is this, it's easy. And I had such belief, the agent was like, all right, he believes it, he knows he can do it, right? Yeah. And so it's that belief and determination. But fundamentally, it's the same thing we do today on it, like a wholesale. It's just a double close.
Yeah. So you get your first deal done, you make a little crack on it?
$7,000.
$7,000, yeah. So you make 7 G's on it. You finally got a taste of success.
Oh,
right?
You couldn't say shit to me at that point. I am going to the moon.
Still on the couch.
Yo.
Still eating ramen.
Yeah.
Got 7 G's in the
account. Now I'm eating hot dogs. Sorry, I escalated to hot dogs.
Yeah.
Like that's not. You're saying that that literally was my life.
For sure, yeah.
I mean, if guys would be like, "Hey, let's go grab a beer," it's like, would love to, but you're paying.
Yeah.
Like that was the conversations I was having with buddies.
Yeah.
So they knew if I was coming out, all right, we're paying for Colby too.
I'm gonna bring a good time, but you're buying.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'll light it up, torches, all the good stuff, but I don't got $1.
Yeah, so you got the 7 G's, you got to cut the baseball player in, you got to cut Eddie in, or is that your cut?
No, that's our cut. So me and Eddie split the 7 G's,
okay.
right? So literally like nothing.
Yeah.
Like rent, not even rent money. Like we're not even paying our mortgages, no rent, no nothing, right? But right after that, just like momentum tends to happen, right after that we get our second one, right? And that's momentum, and that's why like I talk about, when you get your first deal, it's the best time to get your second deal because you have that confidence, you have all the swagger, you have all that, charisma going into talking to people again. Go get that second deal right away.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with us. And so I think we made another exactly $7,000. And so we finished our first year in business making $14,000. Eddie got 7, I got 7. It was a great time.
Sure.
But it was life changing in the sense that now we affirmed we can do this and we can do it at scale if need be. And so that year I invested in coaching.
So you got $14,000 first year.
Yeah.
You guys are big swinging dicks now, ready to go, and you get into coaching immediately at that point.
Yeah, because we knew we needed something.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're looking for a coach.
We were just like, we know what we know. We're both well educated, but like the space of investing, there's not a lot to it, truthfully. But like it's such a lone wolf business.
Yeah.
We wanted some guidance. We wanted a coach. We wanted someone to be the big brother.
Sure. And you guys are still in 2 different states.
Still.
You guys are talking over the phone, having big dreams. And who's the coach? Who do you find? What's that look like?
So ironically, we ended up finding, I don't know if you know him anymore, Preston Ely. So he came out with like a CRM for the space of investing.
Sure.
So he was one of the first to really go big on YouTube. And we saw his YouTube. Ed calls. He's like, "Hey, it's $1,000." I literally called my grandfather. Not joking.
Yeah.
Hey, this thing, it's gonna help our business. We're gonna take off, grandpa. Like, this is the thing that can help us. Boom, 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 boom. So he buys this CRM for us. Well, as part of buying that CRM, we get 2 tickets for free to this real estate education for fortune builders.
Right.
Now that I know the game, I know what was happening. But at the time, we were like, we're blessed. This is what we've been wanting.
Yeah.
Right? And I now know the game and what that all was. But we got in there, and it was just such a functionally put together process from the outside looking in. Maybe internally they felt not that, but like, you have Than Merrill walking the stage, you know, he's talking about the fundamentals of raising money, buying homes, rehabbing properties, what wholesaling is.
Yeah.
And it's 3 days. So you're just like, as someone who's like, I want this, there was no way they weren't going to be able to sell us.
Right.
Literally, when they pulled us to the back of the room, because you sign up for coaching consultations. Again, I've been in the space.
Yeah.
And effectively, it's a sales consultation.
Sure.
And they say 25 grand or 40 grand. We both said, can we make a call? Right? Eddie's here, I'm here. And I called a buddy, and he lent us money because we didn't have it.
Yeah.
And it was the best gift that could have ever been given, because quite honestly, we didn't need a lot from it. We just needed enough, right? And I think that at the time, they gave us 12 calls or something, and there was hours of training videos.
Sure.
And I think we only used like 4 or 6 calls. Not because we didn't like it or it wasn't good. It was literally like, oh, we got it.
Yeah.
Now we know what the fuck we're doing, right?
Yeah.
And we just started going. So, you know, the best gift I could have ever been given. But it really is that investment to a mentor. You were just talking about a mentor you had.
Sure, yeah.
Who was just on the show, Derek. Like, having a mentor or a coach or someone that can play that role for a young entrepreneur, it is invaluable. And so, you know, for those of people that have been pitched coaching or mentoring, or like, really look at it, right? Like, and it doesn't have to be me or you but like, find someone that you work with well, that you vibe with. Yeah. Because they'll move your needle.
Yeah. How do you make the transition? So you're doing some deals now. Are you coming from California out to Arizona at this point?
So it took.
I keep trying to put you in Arizona. I keep trying to bring you out here.
Yeah, you do. So that happened in 2009. We were doing. So in 08 we did 6 deals. Mm-hmm. In 09 we did 20, and then 10 I came out here.
Yeah.
So in 2010 I came out, and I think we did 46 that year.
Yeah. And are you working a lot of short sales and distressed stuff, or?
And we're rehabbing at that point.
Oh,
we actually kind of worked the business backwards.
Yeah.
Because I was able to. I'm good at painting a vision, right? We were able to raise some good money, and then we leveraged that money with hard money.
Right.
So we started using RLS Capital out here, and between them being first position and a couple $100 grand we raised, we just said, let's start flipping. Yeah. And we started getting really good at it, and obviously there's plenty of hurdles that we overcame, but
sure.
You know, by 2010 we did 46 deals. And I didn't even know what wholesaling was fundamentally.
Right.
Like, I didn't even know the first transactions we were doing, the back-to-back closings. I didn't know you would call it wholesaling. Yeah. Right? I just said we were flipping homes without rehabbing it. That's what I called it.
Yeah. So you're out in Arizona now. You guys are hitting your stride. You guys are doing some deals. Obviously a crazy time through 08, 09, 10. Yeah. People are losing their homes.
Totally.
And at what point do you transition from, or I guess, like, who's Justin Colby, right? Yeah. Like you talk about how you were selling on the East Coast, and then, you know, you're trying to sling some deals in a stolen car, and then and then, you know, you come out here and you start doing some wholesale deals, some fix and flips, and now you're coaching. Like who's Justin Colby today? Like, what's going on with you today?
Yeah, so it's been a great transition. You know, I think Steve Jobs gave a great speech, and it was at a college, whatever those things are called, graduation. Yeah. But he gave a great graduation speech about the only way to connect the dots is by looking backwards. And if you know, I kind of did this internally recently, very recently, really, is if I've matured to the place in my life where I can really look at myself in the mirror and know who I am and what has happened, and the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? And I just recently got married, and that puts some perspective on things, and, you know, soon to have kids and all those things.
Sure.
So who I am today is perfect for who I am today, right? I've won big, I've taken my losses. I've gotten beaten up. I've gotten back up. But that is part of the process, right? I think you and I were talking before we even started recording. Like, part of the process, there is no end line, right? Like, I'm not where I want to be today, right? Effectively, I kind of built a business that I took for granted, truthfully, and that's not easy for me to say because I've always been like in a space of educating, like, you need to do work and you need to, but I kind of was the guy that took his foot off the pedal personally and I relied too much on my team and others to run the roles where I really should have continued to be in the trenches with them as a leader, right?
Yeah. So do you think, like, as you're growing as a real estate investor, and you're looking at, okay, we're going from wholesale. I mean, truthfully, going from wholesale and then going into a fix and flip model. I mean, you got construction crews, you got quality of construction, you got design. I mean, it is a whole other animal in its own right? And then now you bring in coaching stuff. Were you doing too much?
I think so. I was spread too thin. I wasn't extremely focused.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer extreme focus gets extreme results. And I was not even listening to my own advice, right? I wasn't even buying my own advice at the time. And I think a lot of it is because we were winning. So when you're kind of winning and you're making money and things are nice, it's just like, I got it. Not a big deal, right? But the reality is when you're spread too thin, you're not going to get the best results on anything, right? So coaching and mentoring and education was good, but it could have been way better. Real estate was good, really good in the sense that I really wasn't fundamentally involved much anymore, right? Because I could go in and create more opportunities.
I mean, is real estate a widget for you, or do you wake up loving real estate?
I wake up loving real estate now.
Yeah.
At the time, it was definitely more of a, I love it because it creates opportunities for me because of the amount of money you can make. So I bought in different businesses. I made different investments. I've started different things, right? But now as I'm more in my business today because of everything that's going on, I realize that I bought back into my own belief system. I love it. Part of it is I love the art of the deal. Like, I'm a deal junkie, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I am a deal junkie. I love wheeling and dealing, trying to make something work that's not really working, trying to get creative on how it can work. If a buyer doesn't, how do you negotiate with the buyer in the wholesale space specifically to get something done? All of that I love, right? The fundamentals of like architecture, I would say I'm not like some big, like you obviously have a knack looking at your office and walking around here. You actually love some of the fundamentals of like the architecture and design of real estate.
Sure.
I don't have that artistic side necessarily. I like nice stuff, and I can tell you if I'm going to rehab it, what I'm going to like, because I believe the other person's going to like it.
Right.
But I think it's more about the deal, the home. I love it. I mean, I'm always going to be in real estate because for me, it's going to create what I ultimately want, right?
Sorry to cut you off.
Go.
Yeah. So how much time do you invest? So time investment. So time investment in real estate, time investment in coaching, and are you and obviously you got family, but from a work perspective and trying to earn, generate income, what's your split on that?
My answer would have been way different, right? So I'll give you right now, and then I'll kind of give you the past year. Real estate is 90% of my time now.
Yep.
It was pretty much flip-flop. Like, fundamentally through 2016, 17, and 18, I probably gave 5 to 10% max to real estate. But I also had a business partner that ran it. I had a manager that ran the business deeper than my business partner. Then I had 2 acquisition people. Like, I had the whole layout, right? But then one of the things I also realized, and we were talking about off recording, was just like the operational cost to run a monster versus to be able to stay lean and mean.
Yeah.
And I've gained a lot of perspective over that for the last couple of years, right?
For sure, yeah.
One thing that we didn't touch on is I actually have never been employed in my life. I graduated UCLA, got my degree, and I've always been self-employed.
Right.
Until 2019. 2019 came, and the iBuyers, right? OfferPad, Zillow, Open Door, you name it.
Sure.
They're the big thing. They're the $1 billion, 800-pound gorilla now. My friend has a pretty good pedigree. He started lending home. And his business partner, who also started lending home, was CFO at Lending Home. But this guy also was the CFO at Intuit. Mm-hmm. So they have a pedigree of starting $1 billion companies. So they basically sold shares, created their own iBuyer. Well, he's a really close friend of mine. So I'd be like, hey, Jay, I need someone to really run heavily in the real estate space.
Sure.
These are really smart people. So when I went into a meeting with them, one of being my close friend and the rest of these individuals, they're like Harvard MBAs. Like, I'm sitting here like, I'm not saying anything.
I'm just going to look pretty.
That's it. That's it. I'm going to drink like this, and we are going to... But so, like, 100%, you know, the stupidest guy at the table. And that was okay about me. I've always kind of wanted it. I always like being around bigger, better, right?
Yeah.
Like, I look to you, and I'm always like, what's Andy doing? What's he got, you know? Because I want to learn. Like, I also feed off of that.
Sure.
Long story short, he called me and said, hey, we got this thing going. I wanted to make sure it was going and up and running before I called you, but like, I want you a part of this in a big way. I'm like, bro, you can't afford me. Like, how much, you know? Well, we can figure something. I'm going to make it worth your while. I'm like, all right, put some things together. Send me something like that I could look at, right? Like, what's the reality of this? I called some of my mentors outside of the real estate space because I didn't want them to sway me in the real estate space, right? And all of them said the same thing, basically. What are you, stupid? Of course you take this opportunity. And I gave them all the put, like, yeah, but now I'm an employee, now what happens to my business, all of it, right?
Yeah.
They're like, what happens if this works? I was like, well, I have a whole lot of shares and I am really, really rich. And they said, okay, what happens if it doesn't? And I said, well, I go back to my business that I've built for 13 years. Okay, do you see why our answer is this? And it just made sense. They were like, take a fucking gamble. By the way, I'm sitting here right now. It didn't work, right?
Yeah.
And I'm alive.
Yeah.
Right?
And what was your role going to be? What were they asking you to do?
Partner relations.
Okay. And it's starting an iBuyer type environment.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, and it just didn't work.
They're still around. It didn't not work. What happened, the reason why it didn't work out with me is I was very high priced. And their round A funding didn't fund by the end of the year 2019.
Right.
And they had to really start looking like, oh no, right?
How do we get lean?
And so because of my price tag, my buddy had to call me. And it was a hard conversation for him, sure. I was totally blindsided by it, right? Like, I'm fundamentally doing exactly what they're asking me to do and we're winning, right? So I'm not really seeing it coming. And it was right before I got married too, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
Right before this huge end of the year bonus. It was, I got really excited.
Yeah.
So, you know, at the end of the day, like, it didn't work. And they had to get lean, just as we're talking about.
Yeah.
And I had to do some self-reflecting. I was like, all right, I literally have a blank canvas. What do I want to do? And when you ask me, do I love real estate? Like, the first response was real estate. I am back in.
Yeah.
But I'm back in a different way. Like, I'm in this bitch. Like, I'm eyeball deep in my own business now.
Yeah. So what do you do, man? So when you leave, well, you don't necessarily leave, but when you separate from your real estate business, you go to a coaching model or information sales model.
Yeah.
What do you call it? Just so I can.
Info model is fine.
Yeah. So you go to this info model, and are you having success at that point in that business as well?
Yeah. So I've been doing that consistently, just not at a high level for 4 years.
Yeah.
And so, so what I did is when I left my real estate business and went into the Sunday, I had a real honest conversation with my buddy and I said, hey, I have this thing and it produces a nice little income for me, so I'd really like to be able to keep that on the side. And he said, not a problem, just don't let it fuck up what you got going here.
Yeah.
And so for 2019, effectively, I wasn't in the info space. I was able to kind of just continue my brand of Justin Colby and the Science of Flipping while there, but I wasn't doing the whole funnels and the whole thing. Yeah. Right.
And did that excite you? Did that marketing piece, or, I mean, I'm from knowing you, like, I feel like you like to share, you like to have, you like to bring people up with you. Yeah. So I'm sure there was some of that just kind of knowing you, but like the actual marketing piece and diving into it. And listen, man, like we could go through and name off a handful of names of guys that probably aren't doing it the right way, right? And I'm not even sure what the right way is, to be frank, because like, you said, hey, now looking back when you and Eddie were signing up and dropping 20 G's or 40 G's, whatever it was, like, you now know what was going on. Yeah. But is there, in that space for you, like, you're living in a good spot in your head that you're selling something to these kids or to these people that are going to get value from you, right? Yeah. Yeah. And what's it from an outsider looking in, because it's like, you've been doing deals. I started with Derek in '07, so right about the time you got out here, right?
Yeah.
So like your name's been around forever, and you transitioned into selling real estate, and I had seen your name a million times on selling deals. So it's like, all right, cool, or transition into selling information, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of guys that transition out of what we do, and they're selling information, but they don't really have any success in what we do.
Right.
And all of a sudden now we got 500,000 followers. We're driving flashy cars. We got our pinky ring in the air, and we're selling all that of bullshit. Like, what's that do for you as a guy who I'm making some assumptions, I guess, but that you're trying to do it the right way and bringing value to your guys, and you have success, you have a track record, you've done it. Yeah. What's that look like for a guy like you?
Yeah, great. I mean, listen, we can go on and on about this, right? So some of this probably has to do with maturity and the fact that I'm now officially 39 years old, and that happened last week.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Listen, 2-3 years ago, I got caught up in that flashy thing.
Yeah.
I was just talking. There you go. I was just talking to you about. I love watches, so I've always been a watch guy. My grandfather raised me that way. I got the nice car, right? Like, I did the thing. I was that guy also.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't. I like nice stuff, but I was doing it for the wrong reasons.
Sure.
Quite honestly, I got the flashy car because Range Rover, which is still a very nice car, the sales guy never approached me. I literally was sitting in their car and no one came up and said hi.
Yeah.
Well, Maserati's right next door, so I started wandering over there and
sure.
I ended up with no. So.
But not even the flashy stuff though. Like for me, the content, right?
Yeah.
So like look, I got nothing. I have nothing to say negative about anybody if they want to go buy some nice stuff for themselves. Like, I mean, listen, we talked about watches and cars and so forth, right? I think for me, like the fundamental from the outsider looking in, right? And I have you and another buddy of mine that's a really good friend of mine that I know brings a ton of value to his mentees or people that are paying whatever it is, right? And I think it's rad. I think across the nation, these guys get high level guidance on guys that are doing deals, and I think it's cool that you can get somebody to come up and have some cash and can forever put food on their table.
Yeah.
Right. Never have to clock in. Never have to worry about going to a job. And with creative financing can get a jump. With wholesale can get a jump, and then start leveraging into fix and flip or development or buy and holds. I love all that shit.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, for me, what I don't like is when I see in that space guys that are selling it but haven't really done it.
Yeah.
Right. Or haven't done it successfully, and then pivot out of I'm not really doing it, but I'm gonna go buy a bunch of followers and I'm gonna go sell this thing. And it seems like that community of information sales guys, they kind of circle with each other, right?
Yep.
There's kind of like this little cesspool of like, hey, let's pass leads around or however that works. So I guess for me, like, I guess what I'm just trying to figure out is like, for you,
how do I view that?
I mean, how do you see that? How does it sit with you when you have the experience and you have the knowledge and you have the background and you've kind of put in the work and you've done it and you've taken your knocks and now look, you have value. There's value in your words. There's value in your experience, right? Like you got your ass off that couch. Took you 6 months to get there or whatever it was, right? But you made it and you're able to provide for your family and you're doing real estate deals and you have real value to bring, and yet you are now competing with guys who don't.
I can't compare against. So one thing I realized where I was going, I kind of went off. Sorry about the tangent. I can only look in the mirror. I can only control what I control. And if I try to compare myself to you in the real estate space or these individuals you're talking about in the info space, I'm fighting a losing battle. It's a zero-sum game because I can only do what I can do. The reason why I love it so much, my actual superhuman power isn't real estate, isn't sales. It quite literally is people. The reason why you're giving me compliments and I really appreciate it is because I actually give a shit about our conversation, right? I do consider you a friend, and I care, and I can deliver that in an educational space.
Sure.
So if I'm going to look at the other people and what they're doing and how they're approaching the business, I just don't, right? Like I just have to say, hey, do your thing, may the best man win. And I don't even judge them for it, just like you don't necessarily. That's their strategy, and the people are going to resonate with me. They're going to stick around my ways of communicating, what I'm saying and what I'm putting out there. And I don't want the people necessarily that are attracted to something that isn't necessarily genuinely what I'm attracted to. Right?
For sure, absolutely, yeah.
So it's a blessing and a curse, right?
And I love that you said that because I think too often, like I guess both of those spaces are dirty to some degree, right?
Totally.
Like we started our company with a white logo, with a white background for a reason, right? Like I wanted to come out of the shadows of like this wholesale game of like, no licensees. I mean, I literally did a deal right here at 20th Street in Highland at that gas station for $123,000. Like handed off a check, like in the parking lot of Circle K, right?
Totally.
Like it's just a different game that people just have no fucking clue on really how it works. But there's so many guys that just unlicensed guys and guys that are tying people up on contracts they can't get out, and so it's just a lot of that about me. Like I will see that sometimes and get frustrated at like there's a consumer out there that needs a solution to their problem, and they don't, and we earn that money by providing that solution, right?
100%.
But getting to that money in a way that isn't treating somebody ethically or isn't bringing value to them, I just fundamentally have a problem with it.
Of course, as do I. For me, it's like I can only focus on so many things.
For sure, and I think that's a great piece of advice. I think too many times we get pulled off track looking at other pieces there. But so I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
So you're 2020 now. You're fresh off of being a W-2 employee.
That was interesting.
You just got married. You're back 90% of your time is back in this real estate game.
Yeah.
Where are we going right now? What's coming?
Dude, it's very funny. So the 10% of my time I realized, so I did that self-reflection I talked to you about, dude. What I realized, it was people. It wasn't necessarily anything besides people like me, and I'm saying this as humbly as I can.
Sure.
I have my oldest friend spoke at my wedding. We met in kindergarten. Like friends are my friends, right? Like they're like family to me. And I say that to say the good guys in the info space, the people that are really doing deals that I can actually say, I know you're not bullshitting. I basically found this crisis of a way to hone in my personal superhuman power, and I brought these people together and I created, yes, a product, but it's based around their teachings that they can teach others to execute on, right? It's not about me per se. So I took that as an opportunity to share my network. So people talk about masterminds and being in masterminds. I'm part of several and I run one.
Right.
They are really impactful, legit impactful. Probably the best money you can spend in the coaching world is being a part of a mastermind.
Okay. And what does that mean, a mastermind?
Effectively, you're sitting in a room with 20 other successful individuals going through the pros and cons of the market right now and what's working for you and what's not working for you. And the rest of the room gets to sit there and advise on the hurdles you're going through, but also you have to give, right? So you have to say, hey, we did 20 deals this month using this one technique.
Sure.
And then we all get to say, well, I use that technique.
I'm next on that one.
That's right. So now I get to, what I've done is I said, well, let me use my network, the people that I know to be really doing deals, many of them from here, but also outwardly. And I put together that for my audience to say, hey, I don't want them just to be my network that I get to learn from. Right. You guys can now learn from them too. So I put that together, and that I think is going to be a really long-standing, it's a membership, right? It's a membership site. I believe that. I call it the Netflix for real estate investors, because you can pick and choose. So you want to listen to, like, Dan Noma's on there, Chris Iman's on there. I would love to have you on there, right? Like real people doing deals, right? Sure. So I believe that will be my big passion project. Financially, I will win too, of course. Yeah. I am a capitalist, but it will be a passion project because that's where it wins. But man, I love, like, real estate got me to this level, and I'm into real estate. And so we're in a crazy time, man. But you know, as we talk every single freaking week, dude, like, it's just navigating the waters real time, right? Yeah. There's going to be good times. There's going to be bad times. Ironically, as we sit here on May, 2020, it's not terrible. I believe it'll get tougher. Yeah. So I'm ready to pivot. I'm ready to do whatever I have to do. I'm doing more now today than I have in the last 3 or 4 years in my business specifically, because I really believe it's time to, like, really be able to pivot if need be. And only I can do that for my team, right? Sure. So I told you previously, I think I'm a positive person, but I do think there's going to be some economic shit that goes on in the next 90 days, and I think we got to be ready for it. And so I'm making calls that I'm back to cold calling. I'm just calling different people, right? Like, I'm calling more investors, saying, hey dude, I know you've been around for 13 years too. What are you doing? how's your model change?
Yeah.
Is there a way, I called you. I said, hey dude, is there a way we can put something together? If so, great. If not, great.
Yeah.
Like, and so I'm doing a lot of that, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm also positioning, I'm having calls with private money, right? Hey, if something goes down, it could be an opportunity for everybody, right? And so I'm staying on my toes. You know, I'm actually working longer and harder. I'm newly married and in total stereotype, right? Like my wife's, get out here for dinner, like it's 8 o'clock at night. Like I'm still in my office doing all this, right? So I think it's grind time. I think it's getting back. I think the playing field has evened out, specifically in our space of real estate investing. I think you can be a newbie and get some wins going pretty quickly. I think even as veterans, we're fundamentally doing the same stuff. I would advise a newbie to do exactly what I'm doing right now. Mm-hmm. The only difference is I have a lot more confidence when I'm on the phone with someone like yourself or someone else because I have the years experience.
Yeah.
But I'm saying the same shit I would tell a newbie to say.
And what are you telling them?
Go out and network. Figure out how you can be of value to them. Mm-hmm. Right? Whether it's you have a buyer that they can give you a deal to try to sell, whether you potentially have a deal that they can help you get, like as a newbie, and they can get a profit share for helping you contract that deal. Like provide a value, right? A lot of times it's monetary, but provide that value to them, and not everyone's going to take you up on it, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, look, man, one of my mentors early on was very clear in his thought process that, hey, we're just a servant, right? Like if we can go out and serve people and make sure that they're getting what they need and you're bringing value to them, you earn your money along the way. And I think, you know, if you can find the private money guys and put them in good deals, if you can find the buyers and put them in good deals, you can find the sellers and give them a better situation, and put them first. I think inevitably the money comes, and it, you know, it sounds like that's what you're getting at there.
Totally. And I think I don't know if that's the way I want to say it, but like being willing to not be greedy, right? Like share in the wins. Meaning, you know, bring people in, de-risk. Right? So instead of taking risky projects on or doing some risky flips, I mean, 2 years ago, literally I'm still in the issue today. We did $1 million flip that's still haunting us real time today, right? And you're just like...
And what does that mean, it's still haunting you?
Oh, lawsuits. And we're just tied up for nothing. And I'm just writing checks.
Yeah.
And it's just like, there's going to be no winner. That's the really awful part.
Yeah, there never is in a lawsuit, right?
And I'm like, God, and I tried everything I could to be the person I am. I'm like, here's how we split losses 50-50. Here's how it maps out. It's a 50-50 loss. High five. We both suck. Let's go do it again, right? Like, but let's win. No, I'm not losing. What?
And this is a partnership dispute?
Yeah, a lender dispute.
Yeah.
And they don't want to lose any money. And again, it's like, I don't understand how you can't, right? Like literally the paperwork is like.
Yeah.
And so.
But again, the attorneys win.
Oh my God. Every time. And I'm just like, I mean, my attorney's literally like, their attorney's nuts because they're just trying to charge their client. Mm-hmm. There's no win to them. Right? And so but the reason why I'm saying that is because like we went for the gusto on that.
Yeah.
That was going to be $250,000, $350,000 profit.
Yeah. What do you learn from that?
Oh, stay in your box.
Yeah.
Stay in your lane. When have you ever heard Colby, the big $1 million flipper, right? Like you don't hear that. My box is 300 and under, baby. Your box is a distro. I mean,
yeah, same shit. Yeah.
So why do you take those risks? The 2 times, and we haven't talked about it. I know this has been pretty long, but like the 2 times I've gotten really financially bruised up, potentially even going out of business, is that $1 million flip and my development play I did, and that crushed us.
So what happens in this development play? You find some land, you're ready to do a deal, and tell me the story on that.
So the contractor brought the deal. That should have been the first red flag.
They always got good deals.
Got this awesome deal.
Can't lose.
I'll be able to project manage it. Yeah. I got the crews. You bring the money. We all rich.
Yeah.
And listen, I was high on my own shit, dude. I just did 96 flips the year before.
Yeah.
I couldn't lose. Sure, we'll do that. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
Got the money. Boom, boom, boom. Great. $3 million. Buy the land. And, you know, I don't like to point fingers, but the contractor was a very shady individual.
Yeah.
I don't want to say he was stealing, but he definitely did some very unique things without full disclosure. You
know what's crazy, man? It's like I'm getting ready to write a check on Wednesday or Thursday that I really don't want to write. But
let's go to Vegas. Oh, shit. That'd be funny if Vegas was open.
Yeah. Yeah, or maybe it's funny because it's not.
Yeah.
But I'm writing a pretty substantial check on Wednesday that I'm there's just no way out besides just to cut my loss and run from it.
Sure.
And it's just amazing how you can work so hard. Like even if you normally make 30 grand a deal and you got to write a check for 30 grand a deal to lose, getting that 30 you lost back is so much fucking harder than making that 30. It seems like to me, right? Like one bad beat and you're just like, man, it can devastate you mentally, it can devastate the pocketbook. And so it's interesting as you're trying to overcome, and I think we've all been there too. It's like, all right, well, we can do bigger, better, faster. We can outsmart it here. We're I'm sure I'm 43 this year, so I'm a little bit older than you, but I feel like we're the same age group where it's like, sure, we're on this come up and it's like, all right, like we're doing something and this is how wealth is created. And all of a sudden you take bigger stabs and every once in a while you get caught and it puts you right back in your pants. You're like, all right.
Everyone has a plan until you get hit with the right hook, right? Yeah. I mean, that's Mike Tyson saying. So 2 things I wanted to bring up to you. One of my closest friends and mentor, Kent Clothier, came to us. So this is the power of masterminding, coaching, being a part of something, right? He could hear in our tone something was wrong with the development. So he called me and he said, hey, what's up?
Was he in on this deal or just a buddy of yours?
Buddy of mine.
Yeah.
What's up? Blah, blah, blah. And me being me, I can take stress different than my partner can take stress.
Yeah.
So
Eddie's eating sunflower seeds like crazy. I've seen him stress his plate. Kids at the plate. He's eating. Go ahead.
So yeah. So I'm like, hey, dude, what's up? Everything's, it's not great. We're trying to work through some things, but we'll get through them. Blah blah. Hangs up. He calls my partner. Hey man, what's going on? Right? Just we handle it different.
Yeah.
He calls me back. I'm like, what's he calling me back for? Hey, dude. He's like, all right, I'm rounding the troops coming out there. What do you mean? Hey, dude. I have a feeling things aren't going great right now. I want to bring some guys out there and try to get some perspective around this, see what we can help. How do you know? I could hear it in Eddie's voice. Literally, I think that was Wednesday.
Yeah.
Friday morning, all these guys come out here.
Interesting.
And they just round up. We all go to City Hall. That was kind of just like, hey, let's have a little bit of fun.
You're like, I'll go to City Hall, but you all got to buy. Because I got some shit I'm not really ready to talk about yet.
That's exactly what happened, right? And so, I mean, all of them had different varies of success. Yeah. One was a VP at Oracle, running a massive sales team over at Oracle, etc. Right? They were all really successful, and Kent brought his network to me and my partner Eddie, just to help, just to be like, dude. And so here's ultimately a lesson. The lesson I'll never forget out of this. He said, "What is the worst that can happen?" And we all just sat around the table together. It was 4 of us at the time.
Yeah.
I was like, well, we would lose a lot of money, and private lenders would lose a lot of money, and maybe go out of business. And he just kept staring at me. He's like, and then finally it's like, I don't know, that's a lot. That fucking sucks, bro.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll still love you. Come live with me. Call your friend. Like, you're not dead.
Yeah.
Is it really that bad?
It's a real estate transaction.
Right? Like, you fucked up. Own it, look at it, feel it, get the fuck out of it and go win again, right? Yeah. Like, his point was like, you didn't die.
Yeah.
Come live with me if you need to live with me. Like, for whatever the case may be, but like, you're not losing your friends, you're not losing your family, you didn't die.
Yeah.
Some people might be upset at you, but bro, it's a real estate transaction. Go do another one.
Yeah.
Right? So it really sunk in to the point where I'm now talking about it 6 years later about that, like, that $30,000 check, yeah, fuck. All right, let's go.
Yeah.
But you have to have that, like, they talk about quarterbacks have, like, no memory.
Sure.
The very next play, they got to throw the ball again, right?
Yeah.
Even though they just did an interception, whatever. Same idea. It's never as bad as you think it is. Another great piece of advice, it's never as bad as you think it is. It's also never as good as you think it is.
Right.
Right? That's a lot of the internalizing I've done over the last several years, going through 2 big losses, kind of reframing, going into a W-2, and right? So it's never as good. Like, I don't care how much money you're making, and it's like, it's never really as good as you think it is.
Yeah.
But it's also never really as bad.
Yeah, it's great. It's good to have friends like that. And it's funny with real estate, man. It's like sometimes when it's bad, it's best just to cut bait early and just be done with that thing.
Be done with the loss and move on, bro.
Yeah. What does that do for you guys' partnership? I mean, you and Eddie, I don't know, are you guys both writing checks or whatever the details are, but the development. Also now this lawsuit's still going on. Does it create a divide with you guys as partners, or are you guys bonding closer than ever now? I mean, you guys went from the couch and stealing cars together to, to negotiating lawsuits like a bunch of thugs running around here. I like it. Yeah, now you're talking my language.
That's right. It's
Or are you guys just digging deeper together now? Like, how does that work for y'all?
It's actually, as a moment in time, it's interesting. So fundamentally, I've used this word a lot.
Yeah.
So
that's going to be the tagline of this. Fundamentally, Justin Colby. Fundamentally, the Justin Colby.
That's right. Eddie is actually working as COO for Kent Clothier, the guy I just talked about. And so he's actually currently out of our business. Now, he's still my partner, and he still has ownership of the company. But he and Kent had this kind of heart-to-heart, and there's some needs and whatever. And he took that opportunity with full conversation with me. So there was it was do it. Take advantage of a great opportunity, right? Let me support you in that. So, right now I'm running the business, period, right? And there's
But when you see, when you have this conflict with, private money guys or investors or contractors, and now you have a partner, like at that moment of time, not so much today, or maybe that lawsuit's still today, but at that moment of time, does it bring you guys closer, or does it create friction within the building?
Yeah. There's always some of those heavy, hard conversations.
Yeah.
It also depends on personalities. Like I told you, like my friends are my friends for it. Like he's my brother. Yeah. Like it's gonna suck, and we're gonna have hard conversations, but we're always gonna be able to go break bread and love each other and be brothers, right? And so we've been, because of life, maybe we've disconnected slightly. Like he has 2 kids, I have none.
Yeah.
So he has practices and different things that I don't have, right?
Sure.
But it's not because of any business transaction, right? It probably brought us closer. That was actually the one thing Kent, during the development thing, that's one thing he highlighted. He was like, if this didn't happen, I think you guys would have really harmed the friendship. It would have gotten south. Yeah. And he could have been right. But
sticking in it longer?
Yeah, not asking for help, right? I think that's, as guys and drivers and entrepreneurs and lions and whatever the fuck we want to call ourselves, we don't want to fucking make a call and say, hey bro, need some help.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing. That's like, god damn it. So I'm big on it now. I'm big where I don't give a shit what you want to think. I don't need to that ego. I'm doing my damnedest to work on it, right? I'm literally trying to check it every time I can.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to just be like, dude, Andy, fuck, I got this thing, and what do you think? Any thoughts? I'm just really trying to check it, because it got a little out of hand for a little bit, right? Yeah. Where I just felt like I could coast. That's not right,
Yeah, it's a strong man who can identify that with a little self-reflection, right? And we've all been there.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I think every one of us has been there, and it's interesting. I got my teeth kicked in when the market crashed in 2007. I was doing lending, driving the Mercedes in the big house, and lost everything, and here I am driving limousines at night. And, yes, sir, let me suck your dick and open this door for you, sir. And yeah, no problem that you threw up in the back, sir. Just make sure you leave that $100 bill or two, and then waking up in the morning and banging phones. And it took me 9 months to get my first deal done, and we were negotiating short sales, so it was a 9-month throw, and that there's some humbling times that come through that. And then you get up and running, you start making some money, you start having success, and it's like people start to know your name, or they know your brand, and all of a sudden your dick's getting real big, and then all of a sudden reality hits. Even this going on with what we're going through now with this COVID, it's like, hey man, a lot of our businesses have really screeched down and gotten tight, and the guys that we sell to, the investors are scared and they're not pulling triggers, and the hard money guys are nervous and they're requiring more money down, making deals more difficult. So it's like all of a sudden you're like, wow, it's a great moment to kind of sit back and be like, okay, do I need that?
Yeah.
Why do I really have this? What's the point of me doing that? And you kind of realize shit, man, some of this is just for me, and to make myself live up to it or be that or whatever. And so I think I think times like this for me bring tremendous value, because look, congratulations on being married, and I have a 15 and a 13, and on the way to on the way to marriage, for the first time as well.
Yeah.
But it's like it gives you time to home back in on the family and what's really important, and kind of reevaluate why you're doing what you're doing.
No doubt.
So Justin, what's the what's the? I guess there's. I don't want to say end game, right? We're too young for the end game.
Yeah.
But like you're back in real estate, and for me, like it's always been building the long term assets and having the rental portfolio built. That's always been my grind.
Yeah.
And I've been able to. I have a little private money company. I have a little piece of a title company. I kind of have this little circle of like, I get a deal, it goes in the circle, and everything makes a little bit of money. But the end game for me right now is to buy those long-term holds, and it's been a minute since I bought any just based on the prices.
Sure.
But what's it look like for you? Like, what drives you to get up every day and get back in this grind and call these investors? Like, what are you trying to do besides obviously generate cash for today? Like, what's out there?
I don't think we're any different. I think the end game will be to have a rental portfolio. But I still think I'm a deal junkie. This I've also come to realize. So I still think some level of me will stay in some level of a transactional business like wholesaling or flipping.
Yeah.
Wholesaling maybe not, but probably flipping, right? And doing maybe different type of projects. Probably get a little bit riskier as you have that nest egg of a good rental portfolio coming in, which is guaranteed, and you don't have to do it to live off of.
Right.
I would be willing to take bigger gambles and do some of the things that, the adding some bigger boy projects.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the end game's the same, dude. I think, for me, it's the wealth, it's the generational wealth, it's the long-term holds.
Yeah.
But I also like, it's funny because I don't think I'll ever retire. Like I said, I'll probably do bigger, better projects, but I also think like the opportunities that have been opening up for me have been incredible, right? Like lending and all these different, like, maybe there's a play there that I start to take down that path. Like, I own an Amazon company, for God's sakes, right? Like, I have zero desire to fucking... I have a buddy who is a Amazon expert, and I got the money, and I said, how do we do this?
Yeah.
Right? And we sell shit on Amazon, bro, and it's the funniest things we sell. We sell protective glasses.
Yeah.
We sell coloring pencils. I mean, it's just weird, and it sells.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is awesome, right? So again, it's that deal junkie part of me where I just love that that's there.
How does that deal work? Like, are you got a supplier in China or whatever, and they drop ship direct, or do you got a warehouse?
I can tell you how it works, but truthfully, I'm not even involved. I literally cut a check and
sure.
So he has relationships from his prior job in China already, because he was already gone through this whole thing with a much bigger company. So he already has the relationships. So he knows the fundamentals. So yes, you go over there, you get the products, you get a test. If you like it, you green light it, and then we choose to use Amazon's storage. You don't have to.
Gotcha.
So they produce it, they send it to Amazon storage, and then when people buy it, it goes out of Amazon. So we pay a little more, we make a little less.
Sure.
But I don't want to do anything. I don't want to fucking deal with it, right? To me, it's an investment almost, right? It's almost like that mailbox money. Like every month I make a check, and I'm just like,
it's great.
This is awesome,
yeah.
Right? And so, but that's what I'm saying is opportunities start to open up, and like it re-energizes you. Now, again, the thing that I learned from a couple years ago is I was spread too thin. So I'm not going to take on opportunities that take me away from the real estate side.
Yeah.
Now, if it's a bolt-on, like I'm also a part owner in a title company, and I get little dividends every month, it's fucking awesome, right?
I mean, is that not like if you could 10 times your, like, I had this little minuscule investment in this company, and it just pays a ridiculous amount of money for it. If I could 10 times that, you know what I mean?
Totally.
Like, I want more of those.
That's it. And so, but that's a bolt-on to what you're currently doing.
Yeah.
So hard money lending.
Same with the private money. We get a crack on the deal. We put the money out, get a little kick on that, and just a little add on there. Go to the title company, get a little add on there, and just try to stretch that money out.
That's where I will probably be going over the years.
Yeah.
Is figuring out those bolt-ons and whether I want to make them more serious and long-term or not. But I mean, my answer is the same as yours. I just, I kind of have that monkey brain that starts to say, okay, what else?
Yeah. And
that's what I got to check.
Yeah.
Dude, I can make a fuck ton in real estate. You can't. We're doing it. So it's like, why do you need more? Yeah. What is more? And when times like this, you realize more is nothing.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's not a thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, my answer is the same as yours, bro.
Yeah, that's great. So this is your first wife?
First wife.
Yeah. And you're planning on having kids? You're excited about this? Like, what's that like?
Yeah, she's excited about it. I'm not excited, but I'm not as excited as she is. So I met her in Miami. She's Cuban.
Okay.
I was over there for work.
Yeah.
And
in Cuba or Miami?
Miami.
Yep.
She was born and raised in Miami, but heritage is Cuban. Of course, my buddies that I went to. So I went on a Sunday, and we were going to go. Basically, we were going to like shadow their office. They were a real estate brokerage doing kind of stuff that you do, but they were really killing it on the MLS in Miami.
Yeah.
I was like, how the fuck are you doing that?
Yeah.
So he'd explain it to me. I'm like, I get it, but like, let me see the machine work, dude.
Yeah.
Like, because this is. And so we're like, all right. So me and Eddie fly over there, and so we landed at Sunday at 4. And me and Eddie went and grabbed some food at a Cuban restaurant.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, what are you guys doing? And he's like, hey, let's go have a cocktail. All right. Takes us to the hottest club in Miami. Like, God damn it. Literally $3,000 to walk in the door.
Yeah. I was gonna say
they ran the Amex before we entered.
Every drink swipe at the bar is $100. Like
100%.
Minimum. Every time you walk in, like, can I get 2 or 3 or 7? It's always $100.
That's it. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So they ran the card literally before they allowed us in.
Yeah.
And so we're there, and it's exactly what you think it is. It's right on the water. It's in Miami.
Yeah.
Everyone. This is the spot where the athletes go, right?
Yeah.
So this is where Dwayne Wade and LeBron blah.
Yeah.
So it's fun, no doubt. I didn't see it coming, so I'm like, all right, well, let's turn up. Let's
Yeah.
do this thing, right? So the whole shenanigans, of course.
Yeah.
Well, I see this girl, like, next to us, there's just, like, 30 Kim Kardashian lookalikes,
Yeah.
right? And you're just like, I know what you're about, right? Like, bought and paid for, and I say that not as in hookers, but like
in love, yes.
Duh. So I see my now wife literally across the entire place, and I point at her and say, I want to talk to her. Luck may have it, it starts raining. Our table was outside, they move us inside. I go up to her, I say hello, talk the rest of the night.
Yeah, that's
and then
great.
from that day forward, we never missed a day talking to each other.
No way.
So yeah, so 6 months in, not even, 5 months into it, I said, someone's got to move. I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
She's like, I'll move to you.
Were you willing to go to Miami?
Yeah.
No shit.
Because remember, this is 2018. I'm kind of like half plugged,
Yeah.
more than half plugged out of my real estate
Yeah.
business. So remember, I was in that space of like believing my own shit,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And things were good. Don't get me wrong. But I felt I could just do that and business would keep running. So
Yeah.
what if? Who knows, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It wouldn't have. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
And so I would have, and we probably would be married for sure. But I think my business life would be drastically different.
Yeah. Interesting.
So yeah, so we're gonna probably have kids here soon, or we're definitely practicing a lot.
Yeah, that's good.
Newlyweds are practicing a lot.
As you should.
She's a Latina, and so she enjoys practicing.
Good cook as well.
Oh, crushing the Cuban food.
Yeah.
Dude, the 4 of us will get together.
Let's do it.
Do some food and booze for sure.
Yeah. We're about that time. It's we're coming out of this COVID thing. Hopefully we can legally get outside and have some drinks soon.
I'd like to.
Yeah.
She actually works in the medical field, so she's a little more reserved
Yeah.
than most. But we'll see. I'll
Yeah.
get her out of there. She's just like, she just sees it all day, every day. And
For sure.
She's definitely a lot more like, I have 2 masks in my car.
Yeah. We won't tell her you're not wearing it now. We'll bleep that.
100% on my way here, she literally called me. It's like, you better be wearing your mask. Don't try to be cool.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Yeah, no problem, honey. Yeah. Yeah. Well, great, man. Well, listen. Before we depart,
Yeah.
what's when Justin Colby's done doing what you're doing? What are people looking back when you look back? Like, what are people saying about Justin? What's your legacy
He
for
made
that?
an impact. He cared.
Yeah.
Changed my life. He gave.
It's good
Period.
stuff. Yeah. Well, cool, man.
Yeah.
Listen, dude, I really appreciate the time you gave
Yeah,
me today. It's good to catch up with you, get to know you a little more. Thanks for showing up. You want to plug anything before you go?
Follow me on Instagram. The Justin Colby. The Justin Colby. The Justin Colby.
How many times have you said the Justin Colby, and then how long did it take you to say it without laughing that you said the Justin Colby?
I say it every time, and I think it's funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, just follow me on Instagram if you have any interest in business, real estate specifically.
Yeah.
I give a lot of great content. I have great people on there, and
Cool.
so yeah, follow me on Instagram.
Cool, man. Well, thanks for joining us on the come up. All right, brother.
Later.